Well, hello there. You are listening to Nellyville, the podcast. And I'm Black. Hello, shalom. Welcome back to another fabulous episode of Nellyville, the podcast, the place to be. If this is your first time here, we're so happy to have you on board. If you have been around for eons, if you've been around from the beginning, my appreciation, my gratitude, my utmost respect, and just joy goes out to each and every one of you. Really, truly, honestly. First of all, before we get into the juicy topics and all of this, I heard something funny. Maybe it would be funnier if you witness it, yourselves. But I've been laughing at this for 10 minutes. So I'm watching Bob the Drag Queen, right, on the YouTube videos. The one that he did with Safira Cristal. If you haven't seen it yet, watch it. It's so funny. But anyways, towards the end of the video, Bob says, have you ever used a white person to check if your brushes are dirty? And I don't know why that is so funny. That was just the way he said it was so funny because, they were doing the makeup together or whatever. And, when you're doing makeup, your brushes and your sponges and stuff, they can get a little muddy. They can get a little, and then sometimes, especially when you're a little darker, you can't really tell, like, what colors are all on it, or if you put it on you, pigment don't show up as much on, black skin, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, so he called one of his little people who come over there, and they're behind the camera, so you can't see the person, but it's just so funny the thought of somebody holding their arm out, somebody holding their little white arm out, and Bob just rubbing the brush back and forth. Anyways, I thought that was funny. Have you ever used a white person to check to see if your brushes are clean? That was. I got a little kiki out of that. Anyways, speaking of colors, have we heard about the woman in the purple dress? The woman in the purple dress who went to the wedding. Okay, look, let me put y'all up on game, okay? Because it definitely opened up a broader discussion, a wide lengthy dialogue about what is appropriate to wear to weddings. So there is this woman who is with child, okay? And she gets invited to this wedding and she chooses to wear. Now, let me just say, very beautiful girl, has the pregnancy glow and all of these things. The dress itself, stunned, beautiful. The issue was this an appropriate time to wear this dress? So the dress is this purple, more of a lighter purple, not like a lilac, maybe like a deep lavender, if you will. And it is this plunging neckline. I mean, all the way down to the navel, okay? There are many occasions where a woman could wear this dress and it'd be, perfectly fine, perfectly suitable, great, For a wedding, I'm so sorry. I have to be on the side of, I feel like you're doing too much, okay? It is a spoken and unspoken rule that you do not go out of your way to try to take attention away from the bride. Not saying, I don't know what the bride looked like. I didn't see the bride. I don't know what her dress looked like. I don't know. Her dress could have been so amazing. She could have looked so immaculate that it would not have mattered. She still would have stole the show. And you know what I mean? But anyways, all that to say, normally weddings, most traditional weddings, most of the time it is for formal wear. It is a black tie affair. It is a formal cocktail. Maybe not necessarily evening wear, but maybe depending on the time of the, look, you get dressed to the nines, but there is still a hint, a certain class level that must be met for this ceremony, the celebration of a union. Okay? So the woman who decided she's going to wear this purple dress to this wedding, she said that she asked the bride if it was okay. Which, to me, if you feel like you have to ask the bride, can I wear this? That's probably your first sign that I probably don't need to wear that. If you have to ask, I mean, I mean, and then what do you want her to say? No, so you can go around telling people, man, she was a bridezilla. She didn't want me to wear woo woo woo. Like, what response are you looking for there? You know. But if you have to ask, then obviously there's a part of you that knows that this might be a problem. And with all the dresses and all of the outfits and all of the world, why even chance it? You're doing too much. So anyway, so this girl who wore the purple dress, the lady who wore the purple dress, is like, oh, people just mad because if Kylie Jenner did it, or if a little skinny woman did it, it'd be different. Now, pause, because didn't Kylie, like a few years ago, or was it the other, what's the other little girl name? I don't even know that girl's name. Wasn't it a few years ago that she got called out for wearing something that was doing too much at a wedding? So we call her ass out too. So why would you? So don't do that. The woman was trying to make it seem like, oh, well, y'all just mad because I'm a full-figured woman and people like to shame pregnant bodies, and pregnant bodies can be beautiful too, and y'all wouldn't have nothing to say if it was some little skinny white girl. But baby, didn't nobody care about your race, your size, or anything else. Like I said, and like most people agreed, the dress was all that. It was all that, and she did look good, okay? You just don't wear plunging necklines with your whole chest out, all of your stuff, all the way to, you just don't wear that. You just don't. There is a time, there is a place. That woman's wedding was not the time nor the place. Well, now here we go. The plot thickens. Now, I have not fact checked this, but I'm going to tell it anyway, because if it didn't happen in this situation, I'm pretty sure it happened somewhere else. But for the giggles, for the conversation, let's just say that this part of the story is actually true. Okay? And if I find out otherwise, I'll keep y'all posted. So the plot thickens. Okay, so apparently, word on the street is the girl who wore the purple dress was the ex of the groom. Okay, and now, well, hold on, and check this out. And I think they dated in like high school. So I don't know how old these people are. They look to be around my age. So a long time ago, but not that long ago. So, but I don't know that they were married. I think they just dated in like high school. I don't know. I didn't really get that part. Anyways, her ex nonetheless, right? So then the girl in the purple dress is remarried to some, is married. Well, they said remarried, so I don't know if she was married to the guy. Anyways, she's married now. And the guy that purple dress lady is married to used to play on the same football team as the ex. Baby, y'all out here doing a lot. Cause I'm trying to figure out, how'd you even get invited? Why were you invited? And furthermore, why did you go? Cause and you brought the new guy, and apparently it was like some rivalry. I think they played on the same football team, or he played at a competing school. Either way, the groom and their girl husband, they knew each other. She's the ex of the girl. I'm like, y'all doing too much. But okay, well, hold on, wait, y'all. It gets even thicker. The plot thickens even more. So apparently at the wedding, I don't know if this was before the ceremony or before the reception, I don't know, but at some point in time, the mother of the bride pulls the lady in the purple dress, out in the hallway or outside of the venue or whatever, and says, you know what, look, this is inappropriate. You should not have wore this to my daughter's wedding. I don't know, but this ain't right. And I guess she asked the woman to leave, or told her, look, you got to change. This is inappropriate. turned into an argument. They got out there. It was an altercation. Now, I don't know if anybody threw hands. All I know was the mother of the bride said, "Baby, you doing too much. You being disrespectful." And the girl in purple was like, "How you gonna tell me? Woo, woo, woo. Just ghetto. Just ghetto." And I'm like, child, look, as the mother of the bride, I can see how a mother might get so moved to be like, "Girl, what is you doing?" But also, I don't know if I would be so bold to say something to somebody just on the off chance of I don't want to cause a scene. I don't want there to be a scene on the little newlyweds big day, you know. But that girl had an agenda, clearly. Clearly, you had an agenda, which I knew it had to be more to it because why are you going out of your way to wear something that you know is controversial, and then you're making videos about it, looking for validation, reaction, and I'm so sorry. And then also, how did she get invited? Because if I'm the bride, now usually, I mean, unless they filled out invitations separately and just said, "You invite 50, I invite 50," and, or whatever it was. But normally the bride knows exactly who's coming to the wedding. And if she knew that that girl was invited and she okayed it, she's stupid. Because why did she need to be there? There was no reason for her to be there. If she's still pulling this kind of weird high school stuff, because that's really some weird high school, young-minded, immature stuff to do. Why is she even a part of your life enough that you invited her to the wedding? And if I'm getting married and some fool come and ask me a dumb question like, "Oh, can I invite my ex-girlfriend?" Baby, call the whole wedding off. Call it off. Call it off. Because my response is going to be, you can invite whoever you want. You won't be getting married to me. You can invite whoever you want to your wedding. But it's not even going to be no explanation, because why would you, if you're that dumb to ask me that question, then you're too dumb to be married to me. That we're done here, okay? And then to the man who's married to purple dress lady, why are you entertaining? Why are y'all stuck on this high school bullshit? When you want to show up here and be like, "Yeah, that's why I got your girl." Apparently he don't care. He's marrying somebody else. I'm not showing up with you. If as a man, if my woman talking about, "Oh, so invited me to his wedding, I'ma go." Da, da, da. If I'm a man and you talking about you going to your ex dude's wedding, huh? Baby, go on, and when you come back, I'm not gonna be here. Or when you get back from that wedding, you pack up your little makeup and your Louis bags and your little Gucci slides and get the hell up out on. Because what are we doing here? I just feel like everybody in this equation really need to take a step back, evaluate what is really going on here. What is the thought process? Where are the priorities in life, huh? Where is the moral standing? Why do I have this much time on my hands? Okay, that was too much, baby. But the plot thinking with his show was a juicy little story. I'd love to know what would y'all do in that situation. Are y'all the type? I don't think over here in Nellyville we have the type of people that would like to go out of their way to cause a scene at a wedding. We don't do that over here. We don't do that. We don't condone that. We don't invite exes and stuff to weddings and all of that. It's mad weird, y'all. It's mad weird. And if you get married to somebody, "Oh, can I invite, man, I just unlocked a member." You know what? I forgot all about this. I just remembered just now. This was probably about, I don't know, this was probably 10 plus years ago. How am I? 34. I want to say maybe when I was around 23, 24, somewhere around there. So after high school. there I got this wedding invitation in the mail. Now I moved to Texas, okay? So it's already like, how did you get my address in Texas after I, at that point, had been here for a while? Anyways, that is the, yeah, you know what? How did that person get my address? Huh. You know what? Okay, it's too many cans of worms being opened up here. Cause now I'm like, how the hell did you get that? Anyways, there was this guy. We didn't date. I think we might have went on like one date in high school. He was a year younger than me. And anyways, I got this invitation in the mail. I had no I assumed it was from the girl. I would never think that a guy, especially a guy that tried to date me or whatever, invite me to a wedding. That didn't even. So when I'm looking at the invitation and I'm looking at the girl's name, I'm like, I don't know who this girl is. I have no idea, and I felt bad because I was like, wow, this person thought so much of me to invite me to their wedding, and I don't know who this girl is. I had no idea, baby. Put the little invitation in the drawer somewhere and moved on. I didn't think no more about it. Fast forward, I picked up the invitation again and I looked at the guy's name. And I was like, I know good and goddamn well. I know good and good. Why would you? Now, like I said, we only went on that one little date. We were friends. It wasn't none like that. But we certainly weren't close enough for me to invite me to your wedding, and we did go on a date. So why would you invite somebody to your wedding that you went on a date with? Baby, when I looked up to see who the girl was, I got on social media. You got to be nosy, you know what I'm saying? Child, the girl looked just like me. The girl looked just like me. I was like, this shit is crazy. At first, when I saw the picture, I was like, I don't remember taking that picture. And then I was like, no, this is him proposing to that girl. I was like, bruh, I mean, when I say the girl looked just like me, same size, same height, same hairstyle, same skin complexion, it was me. I was like, damn, that's crazy. And he was gonna invite me, and then how do you explain that? I show up. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what that was, but and then I remember this, and then it seemed like maybe she didn't even know I was invited. And here's why I say that. Hold on, my computer went to sleep. It seemed like she didn't know I was invited. And I think that way because I remember the handwriting of how the invitation was filled out, like the address, looked like a guy's handwriting. Now, usually you have professional, some kind of like stickers or something that, so that everything looks the same, or you have someone in the family, or it might be the bride herself, fill out the invitations in a very either really really pretty handwriting, or you get those custom stickers or something you print it out. This looked like he like just took an invitation and was like, oh, I got an extra person that I want to invite. Or because I mean, unless maybe they decided you fill out your invitations, I fill out mine. This is just my speculation, but normally women are a little particular about everything looking nice and neat, nice and everything. Can you imagine if I was that petty person which wasn't nobody flying from Texas to Kentucky to no wedding, baby. It never gave that serious. But what if I was that petty enough to go and show up to a wedding? She didn't know I was gonna be there, and I show him. It's like, who is this? Like, what? Huh? What? Like, did you want me to? Was that your way of trying to be like, oh, I'm getting married, but if you stop it, I won't marry it. Like, like it gave very that it was very bizarre. And fast forward, he was not the only guy that ended up marrying someone that looked just like me. Isn't that shit crazy? That's crazy. I know for sure there's two, but I think it was a third person that ended up with someone that looked like me. But I know for sure it was two guys that ended up marrying women that looked just like me. That is, baby, like it happened every day. I ain't that surprised. But at that point, anyways, all I like to say, fill out your wedding invitations together and double check who they talking about. And if you see your significant other, they sending wedding invitations to people out of state and they're not family, baby, go ahead and call shit off. Go ahead and call it off. Go ahead and call it off, Mary. It's done. It's a wrap. The flags are there and they are red. Bright red, waving. Chill. Anyway, y'all see, y'all got me over here spilling the tea, honey. Anyways, let's. You know what? I'm gonna get off of wedding drama. Okay. Did y'all hear about? I'm jumping ship. We gonna take a hard left. Did y'all hear about the little 5-year-old boy that walked to the Chick-fil-A by himself? Police looking for him. Or no. Actually, no. It was even juicier than that. So the little boys go there and he's eating by himself. And the manager of the Chick-fil-A, was sitting there with the little boy and, and letting him eat his little food. She had to call the police and say, this is a little 5-year-old boy here, ain't got no shoes on. He's here. He said he walked her. Nobody's come to look for him. He ain't with nobody. We don't know what to do. So the police come and they ask the little boy, well, where'd you walk from? And where's your parents? And blah, blah, blah. And then I think he said, my parents were asleep. I just walked down here. I was hungry. So the police took the little boy and, was asking the little boy, what does your house look like? Which way to go? So he described the house and he led them to, the little boy led the police officers to the house. Well, it was like a gated house, on a decent sized property, not a huge property, but a decent sized property had a gate, electric gate, type of situation. And so the police officer had to hop the gate, went and knocked on the door and was like, yeah, y'all missing something? Now, the parents come out and was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Thank you so much for bringing them, blah, blah, blah. Now, this was a white little boy, I believe. He wasn't black, okay? He wasn't Mexican. He wasn't brown, okay? He was not black or brown. And people immediately in the comments were like, now, had this been a black or brown child, the CPS would have been called. They would have berated the parents. The parents would have been locked up. It would have been a totally different story. Because, so the little boy got reunited with the parents, and then, like, the next day, they met at that Chick-fil-A, the police officers, I think the manager and the staff that was there, the parents, the little boy, they got him some food. The parents, I think, baked some cookies or something for the officers. It was like a hee ha ha, right? And people was like, oh, it wouldn't have been no hee ha ha if it was a black or brown person, which people had a point. But the thing that stood out to me was the parents were not in shock enough for me. And maybe they didn't react the way I would expect parents to react because they were in shock. But when the police officers knocked on the door and they came out and they were just, I don't know exactly how I wanted them to respond, but it was not in a way of, oh my gosh, my child just snuck out of this house. I didn't see any, and we damn sure not celebrating the next day. See, that's another thing that made me feel like y'all didn't respond the way I thought, because me as a parent, I would, if look, kids are quick and kids do things and they do stuff and you can't figure out why the hell would you do something like that. But me as a parent, I would be so embarrassed and feel so guilty that damn, I slept through my child sneaking out of this house. Anything could have happened. The last thing I want is a media press tour and me going back over there baking cookies and acting like, oh, this was such a funny situation. That shit ain't funny. That little boy could have been gone, man. And I'm not trying to be dark or trying to be, but for real, that really could have been ugly. That manager could have been like, hey, the little boy could have ate and left. You know, somebody or some other adult could have realized, oh, that little boy looks like he's by himself, and they could have pretended to be his adult, and nobody would have been none the wiser. So and never saw that little boy again. So I wouldn't be trying to go there and have no celebrations. And plus, I don't want this little boy thinking this shit ain't okay. You don't do stuff like this and then be rewarded for it. We're not doing that. Because that to me says, oh, you can do whatever you want to do, and if it's crazy enough, you get really big rewards. Being on TV, shaking police officers' hands, getting extra toys from Chick-fil-A, free meals and stuff. What is that teaching to a 5-year-old? 5-year-olds are very, very smart. They are very, very smart. But their critical thinking skills, their analytical skills, their deductive reasoning is not strong. They are very matter of fact, and they are very, it is what it is. They take everything at face value. So if a child does something that is very, very dangerous, and the response to it is not that of punishment and hurt feelings, they're going to be inclined to do it again. You could tell them that it's dangerous. They can know that it is dangerous. But what's going to click and resonate with them is that if I do this crazy thing, I'm going to get to be on TV. I'm going to get a parade. I'm going to get just, it's going to be amazing. What crazy thing can I do next? No, that should have been met with what I would have done as a parent. I don't know how the hell they slept through that, but I mean, I could see it. I mean, if it's a big enough house and the kid is quiet enough and you're not expecting your 5-year-old to sneak out of the house, you know, I mean, get a Ring camera or something. Y'all don't have nothing that set off. Y'all slept through that? Was y'all drinking last night? Anyways, it can happen. But if it did happen to me, what I would have done was I would have pulled those officers to the side and I would have said, look, we want to make sure this never happens again and he understands the severity of his actions. Can you please, quote unquote, scare him? And I wouldn't traumatize the little boy, but I would have the officers involved of telling him, if you do this again, your parents are going to jail. Or, you know, I would take the little boy down to the police station and have him, I would do something that would be just on the edge of traumatizing, because it could have been traumatizing. It's not fun. He could have been hit by a car. He could have been bit by a dog. We all know what could have happened. Now, luckily, he made it to Chick-fil-A. He got us a little meal, and, you know, and he went on. But, baby, the hell no, that ain't normal. He left. He didn't even have enough sense to put no shoes on. See, that's what leads me to believe there ain't no parenting. There's no parenting. Y'all let this little boy do whatever he wants all the time, because he just 5-year-old is old enough to know, I'm not supposed to be doing it. There was no sneakiness about it. There was no, let me put my shoes on. Let me take an umbrella. Let me there was no stranger danger. Like, what the hell is going on? They don't teach stranger danger and stuff in schools no more. What? I'm not understanding. Did the parents set that up on purpose? And they went along with the little parade because they don't want to look like, I don't know. They didn't seem like they was upset enough for me. That's all I'm saying. I would have handled it a little bit differently. But anyways, people do what they want to do with their kids. Now, speaking of people doing what they want to do with their kids, have we seen the Phillies baseball lady? Did we see this? So at the Phillies game a few days ago, one day last week or something, there was, a home run ball, or there was a ball that flew up in the stands. Y'all know how they go. And it fell in a row of seats, right? And it hit the lady, or it hit who the lady was with, and it bounced into the row just in front of them, right? So this dad, the ball fell in his row, but he was like several seats down. So he ran over to grab the ball at the same time that the lady who the ball hit is reaching down to grab the ball. So he got hurry up and got the ball and took the ball back to his son. And so the lady ran over to that man, grabbed his arm, and was like, "Hey, no, that's my ball. You need to give me my ball." And he's like, "Well, I got this ball for my son." Anyways, they went back and forth for like a second. And then so he ended up taking the ball back from his son and gave it to the lady. And the lady went back to her seat, and she was all happy that she had the ball. This turned into another big conversation online and a big war. And people were like, "Well, they always let the kids have it. Let the kids have it. Why would you take a ball away from the boy? It wasn't yours. It wasn't even in your role. Their father was just trying to get it for his son," and blah, blah, blah. Now, there were some people who were like, kids ain't just entitled to get a ball just because of the ball. The ball hit that lady. And if it hit her, she should have been able to have it. So a lot of people were going back and forth. And look, here's the thing. I think everybody in this equation was wrong. I didn't think so. And before I explain why I think both the lady and the father were wrong, after the fact, somebody from the Phillies team came up and gave them like a bag of goodies, like, t-shirts, some baseballs, gave them like swag bags or whatever. The dad got an RV from some RV company. I'm sure that was for the RV company wanted to do publicity. I'm sure that's what that was about. And they got a couple other cool things, and they were like, "Sorry, this happened, blah, blah, blah." Made up for it for the little boy. Here's the thing. I know that it is tradition and it is normal that when a ball flies up in the stands, everybody tries to be the first one to get to the ball. That is very normal. But I feel like if you're running from seats down, I don't think you have a right to go after that ball. That ball hit that lady. Now here's the thing. Somebody pointed out and made something very good. Somebody was like, "Well, the kids should always get it." Well, you can't do that because it's always going to be somebody that says, "Well, I'm getting this for my son at home, or my daughter, my niece, my grandchild. I promised them I was going to get them a ball." You're going to have people that try to abuse it when really they just want it for themselves, be it to keep it or to resell it. And people are like, "Well, if the kids aren't present, then you can't use that." No, it's still, because I feel like even though that son was there with that father, it's the son and the daughter, I feel like that man used his son as an excuse to get that ball. I think he really wanted that ball. Which of course everybody wants a ball that flies up in the stands. Everybody wants that. It's so exciting. It's everybody's dream. And everybody's like, "Well, the kids. Okay, well, adults are just kids on the inside. Nobody ever really grows up. Everybody has a right and has a chance to get a ball." But, and I'm not saying that woman was right for taking the ball. Look, here's where they were wrong. That man should have never hurry up and took that ball when he saw that woman was reaching for it. And I'm sure I don't know if he saw the ball hit her or not, but I'm sure he did. If you see somebody get hit with the ball, damn, the least you can do is let them have the damn ball. That shit hurt. You know how hard that y'all know that ball gotta hurt. Y'all know that ball gotta hurt. Let her have it. You knew she was gonna reach for it. You talk about, well, it wasn't in her row. So what? It landed in front of her. It might as well have been. It bounced off of her titty or wherever it hit her. I don't know. So he should have never ran down there to take that ball. I feel like wherever the ball lands, those are the people that should reach for the ball. You don't get to run, even if the seats are empty, unless it's all empty, unless it lands in between people. Like let's say there's a row of like 12 seats, and it falls right in the middle at like seat 7, and there's nobody, you know what I'm saying? And then the person from seat 1 and person from seat 12, you see what I'm saying? They run to the middle. Yeah, that makes sense. Whoever can get to it first gets to have it. But if there's already people by the ball, you don't get to run your grown ass down there and get the ball for situations like this, because you think you're just gonna come get that ball and nobody's gonna say nothing. People are nuts. I'm not rushing nowhere to try to get a ball that didn't land directly in my lap, because some people will fight you and they don't give a damn. I'm not getting knocked out over a ball. It's not worth it. It's not that deep. It wasn't meant for me to have it. You want it, hey, you take it. That man thought he was going to take that ball from that lady and she wasn't going to say nothing. That lady went over there. Now, here's where she was wrong. I don't blame that woman for going over there and standing up for herself and saying, hey, that was mine. Because for one, people already think women and girls are supposed to be timid and shy and not supposed to say nothing anyway. And they don't like for women to stand up for themselves. So I do like that woman was like, hey, that's mine. But where she was wrong was she should never put her hands on that man. Don't grab that man's arm and say, hey, that's my... Don't do that. Don't put your hands on nobody. Now, see, that's where you lost me. Because, see, and he cocked back like he was going to hit her. And I think he thought, I'm glad he figured I'm on this Jumbotron and I'm with my son. Or maybe he was startled and didn't know who was pulling on him. You know, that's a natural reaction. Somebody grab you in a crowd, yeah, you gonna cock back. You know what I'm saying? But he just gave sneaky to me. But she shouldn't have. I understand the emotions were high, but you shouldn't have grabbed that man. And then when you realized that he gave this ball to the son, that's when you should have let it go. Speak your piece and say, hey, that really was my ball and I really wanted it, especially considering I was hit with it. But I understand that you were trying to get that ball for your son. But that's okay. But I just wanted to let you know that was my ball. But I understand what you were trying to do for your son. And I would have walked away and I would have made him feel bad. I would have let him know, you don't do that. You don't do that. Even the son and the daughter were looking like, this ain't right. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, so the woman got the ball. Now everybody's making memes and making fun of the girl. And I think the woman ended up having to leave because I think some people started booing her and stuff or whatever. But I'm just like, man. Now it's not the same as that man the other week at the what was it? What was that at the was that at a baseball game too? It was some game, I can't even remember. But it was like a head coach of like some other sports team. He took the hat, it was a signed hat that one of the players gave to the kid, and then that man next to him took the hat. Now that was wrong. Don't take nothing directly out of a kid's hand, especially after it was specifically handed to the little boy for the little boy. Now that was cold. You don't do nothing like that. But in a situation where that man ran over to take that ball, don't do no shit like that. Y'all was both wrong. Y'all was both rude and nasty. What are we teaching our children here? That's all I got to say. Anyways, I had a couple more topics, but you know what? I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save that for next week because I added in that little extra story with the wedding thing. So, anyways, I ain't gonna hold y'all too long, but for real, look, all I gotta say is, look, hey, Trick love the kids, Trick love the kids, but don't use kids as an excuse to do some jacked up stuff, and also start putting bells and stuff on y'all's doors. And man, there's too many kids wandering around like, oh, I didn't even know they left. What do you mean? No one has accountability for their churn. Nobody has accountability for their churn. I just like and accountability in the sense of that y'all can't account for them. Y'all know where the hell they are. Do you know where your children are right now? Anyways, good luck out there. If you got dirty makeup brushes, check them on a white person. Anyways, love you so much again. Bye.